Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Anderson, and this is Your Marriage on the Path to Divorce? It's a tough subject, and since over half of the people who get married these days end up in divorce, and most of them wait too long to make decisions about how to change that, to go for couples counseling or therapy, or to even read a book sometimes. Sometimes people will look at a video before they read a book. So here's a video for you, and it's entitled, Is Your Marriage on the Path to Divorce? I want to talk about this in a tough love way, in the sense that you need to face the realities. I want to share some things about what makes a marriage move from healthy to unhealthy, from happy to unhappy, from really working to really not working, and then ending in divorce. Now, here's the warning for you. If you watch this video and you think about your spouse the whole time instead of yourself, you're lost. You've wasted 5 minutes of your time. You've completely wasted the information. What's going to make it work is for you to think about how it applies to you. So the question is, are you on the way to divorce? You on the way to divorce, and maybe you don't know it. And would you like to know if your marriage is in real trouble? There's a guy named John Gottman, I think he's a psychologist, of the Gottman Institute, who says he can predict whether you and your partner are on the road to divorce with 95% accuracy. It's kind of an amazing claim. He doesn't need to talk to you for hours in order to have enough information to make this prediction. He only needs, listen to this, he only needs about 3 minutes. And he uses a process described in the best-selling book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell called thin slicing. Thin slicing is a way of looking at slices of a relationship from a particular point of view and then using that very specific information to come to some rather amazingly accurate predictions about relationship. Now, recently I was reading Gladwell's book and his explanation of this process, Gottman's process, and based on my almost now 44 years of working with couples, I can say these guys make a tremendous amount of sense. Many couples would benefit enormously from this kind of feedback if they took it seriously and made meaningful changes. I hope you'll do that as you listen to this. I'm not going to take you through the entire description of thin slicing or the Gottman process. However, I can give you a brief excerpt that will apply directly to your relationship. To quote Gladwell, Gottman, has found that he can find out much of what he needs to know by focusing on what he calls the 4 horsemen: defensiveness, stonewalling, criticism, and contempt. Even with the 4 horsemen, in fact, there is one emotion that Gottman considers the most important of all, and that is contempt. Now, he observes that if one or both of the partners in a marriage are showing contempt towards the other person, he considers this the single most important and powerful sign that the marriage is in serious trouble. Now, to repeat and simplify, there are 4 major contributors to a failing or bad marriage. Your task is to take a look at how any of these factors applies to you and your relationship. As I said before, don't waste your time focused on your partner here. One of the major problems in bad relationships is each partner spends time focusing on what's wrong with the other person. They become an expert on what's wrong with the other person, and they never see their own part. So here are the major factors in a failing or bad marriage. Think about you in your own marriage. Number 1 is defensiveness. I call this the attitude or action of defending against perceived attack, danger, or injury. An attitude, you know what defensiveness looks like, an attitude that protects the individual against shame, anxiety, or loss of self-esteem. Now, consistent defensiveness in a spouse indicates that that person perceives that she or he is being attacked consistently. It implies a loss of goodwill and trust in the partner's intentions. If defensiveness is persistent, then communication just stops, and anger, frustration, hurt, and conflict occur with no resolution. The second characteristic is called stonewalling. Stonewalling is the attitude or action of being impassive, impenetrable, shut off. Stonewalling can make an individual appear hard-hearted, emotionally numb, or disconnected. And most often, stonewalling is actually a cover for fear, for insecurity, for hurt, and especially a way of hiding any feelings or signs of vulnerability. Consistent stonewalling will cause the other partner to give up in hurt and frustration, or go into a rage, or disconnect and withdraw and build resentment. Number 3 is criticism. Criticism is the attitude or action of disapproving, judging negatively, blaming, reprehending, and condemning. It means to judge severely and find fault. Criticism that's consistent creates an atmosphere of tension and irritability, and may, if it's done long term, activate what we call passive-aggressive behavior in one's partner. It erodes any sense of unconditional love and acceptance. And finally, the fourth big horseman, which is really the most toxic, is contempt. Contempt is the attitude or action of reproachful disdain, or for something vile. It's bitter scorn, the state of being despised or disgraced. It means that you treat your partner like they're despicable. Consistent contempt for one's partner is absolutely devastating to a relationship. In fact, it creates the total opposite of what philosopher theologian Martin Buber described as I, thou, or the ultimate respect and care for another person. Gottman indicates that contempt is the single most destructive attitude between two people. If it appears regularly, it almost guarantees divorce or an ongoing life of suffering for the partner who is in contempt. Application. Anyone who is married or in a meaningful couples relationship would do well to study these 4 characteristics that I've talked about and discover to what degree they exist in each of you. And it's easiest, I think, to begin with the following exercise that I created for couples that I work with. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the most, rate yourself and then your partner on each of the 4 horsemen. Then ask your partner to listen to this video and do the same exercise. If either of you get or give a rating above 5 or above 5 in any of the first 3, defensiveness, stonewalling, and criticism, I strongly advise you to get some help so that you can have positive change. I mean serious help. If either of you gets a rating of 3 or above on the issue of contempt, I strongly suggest that you get help immediately. Now I want to repeat the warning. This is the tough love comment. Most people who really need this information will not watch this video, and if they do watch it, they'll only think about their spouse. Both approaches are useless forms of denial and will bring you closer to either a bad marriage or a divorce. The best way to use this video is to take it seriously, think deeply about how it applies to you, and then please go get some help. Go get some help. Your relationship needs it and deserves it. Needs it and deserves it. Thank you.